Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Sanders from Sanders Consulting, and I'm just want to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about structural change within an organization. So we hear a lot of people calling for, and rightly so, structural change for things like social equity, right, within organizations and in society in general. But what do people actually mean? So within an organization, when we talk about structural change, we're talking about changes that don't have to do with the individuals themselves. These structural changes are the things that actually help to shape the behaviors of individuals and groups. And so it kind of goes back to the conversation I had a while ago about social psychology and the way that situations shape people's behaviors and attitudes as individuals and also in groups. And so when we want to change structures within organizations, we're usually talking about policies and procedures. We could be talking about the hierarchies of the organizational structure, that you would write out, differences in that. We could be talking about the design of jobs, which is something that I specialize in, the design of jobs to promote human health and sustainable performance. But I also want to mention that we could be talking about technologies, right? So structures can be technologies, and technologies can be equipment. So it could be the kinds of equipment that people have access to. It could be access to internet, high-speed internet, or access to computers. Those are structures within organizations that make it possible for people to work from home more easily or to telecommute. But technologies are also ideas. And I want to spend a little time on that today because if we're talking about structural change in organizations to promote inclusivity and equity and just overall health, then technologies are management ideas also. So the ways in which decisions get made, the ways in which problems get framed, who defines what a problem is and who goes about solving it, who has power over resources, who has decision-making influence. All of these things are a hybrid of the technologies, the management ideas that shape the organization, and the structures in the organization that have been built. So I would say that when you change the ways an organization makes decisions, or when you change the lens through which an organization defines what a problem is, then you're making structural changes. So for instance, it's one thing to give equity and diversity and inclusivity training to employees as individuals or even as departments. And I think that's good to do, and I would advocate for that. But if you do that only and you don't look at the ways in which problems are identified and solved, or the ways in which decisions are framed and made, if you only look at the individual growth of people and their self-awareness, and you leave out the way work is done, then you won't make structural change. So structural change would be inclusive processes for identifying what are the problems, what are potential solutions, how can we implement and test and pilot potential solutions, how will we know if they're working, and who decides if they're working, what data do we collect, who do we talk to, and what are our criteria for deciding if something's working or not. And then who's going to make meaning of all of this and decide how to go forward. So all of those processes, all of those interconnected processes in a system, in a work system, have to be affected and become more inclusive and more equitable for structural changes to take root and to be effective. So I hope this has been helpful. Please do send me your comments if you have them. I would love to hear from you and hear how you're viewing structural change in your organizations. Take good care.